You guys know my opinion on Azur Promilia, right? The game looks fine, right? The game genuinely looks fine in my opinion. My worry is it seems like it's another rotation-based gacha game with off-field characters swapping out to the character based on your energy, concerto, forte, whatever the frick they're going to call it in this game, whether you're going to have concertos for intros and outros or some form of energy that allows you to do that, or skill points, whatever they're going to name it. It seems like that's the case. And it's another game that I think looks great, but I'm getting less and less interested in the fact that just like NTE, just like potentially Silver Palace, just like potentially that rewinding cadence, maybe, obviously Wuthering Waves, and now we might have another game that's kind of trying to do the same thing where we're rotating through, so it'll be support, sub DPS, DPS, start hitting them, rotate again. Big numbers on screen. You know what it is, right? It's not a bad thing. I like it in Genshin. I like it in Wuthering Waves. I just want different, right? I just want different. So let's check out this then and see if there's anything here that can show us off. Obviously, this is recorded from a phone, so it's not direct recording, but yeah, let's have a look. Let's have a look. I wish it was blowing. Like, the combat looks fast and fluid, right? It looks fast and fluid, so it looks like we've got some sort of another world boss here, right? See, this is what I was on about, so it does look like we have got that right. When you engage in combat in the overworld in this game, you're kind of trapped into the combat, yeah. I wonder if there'll be like a flee system, you know, like in older, like RPGs, JRPGs, you know, when you could flee from combat. I wonder if there's a potential to flee from a fight. Now, this looks maybe more like a world boss, or even when we get into mob fights, it looks like this force field, this ring pops up around you. So I'm curious if maybe, you know, you start fighting an overworld enemy that's a bit too much for you at that particular point. Can you flee from the fight? Like if you run up against it, or I don't know, there's like a skill or maybe potentially a material that you have to consume maybe. Be curious about that if I'm honest. Because, like, my only thought in why they do that is it maybe to make the game run better? Because it seems like everything else in the overworld despawns, doesn't it? You know, like, if I hadn't played a bunch of Wuthering Waves, right? And I didn't know NTE was doing a rotation-based combat, and I hadn't played Genshin, and Silver Palace didn't look like it was doing something else, something similar, right? And this had just come out kind of in a vacuum. I'd look at this and I'd be like, man, this actually looks really cool. But then it's like, you know, it just looks, it looks very samey, doesn't it? That's the worry, man. And my worry is that we're going to have half a dozen big gachas now. All the big gachas, apart from a couple, are going to be the same thing. And that's a worry, because we've got a lot of cool looking games. Don't want it to be ruined by the fact that they're all trying to do the same thing. So I'm really glad I know Ananta's not a gacha, but I'm really glad it seems like it's gone away from that. Or at least it's not doing that. I'm still going to play the crap out of Azur Promilia, right? Still going to be checking it out. So obviously we've already seen that you break enemies, probably do increased damage. You know what I mean? Well, the animations look slick and smooth. Like, I just, is it me? Do you guys feel the same as well? Obviously the fact that it's very samey, generic, whatever you want to use. Do you think there's a lot of visual noise on screen as well? Like, I feel like there is. One of the things that started to get a little bit crazy in Wuthering Waves, they just started to get a little bit too much visual noise. And that's a personal issue, right? There's just a lot, look at, like, when you pause this here, right? Your enemy's here, and you've just got numbers everywhere, combos, all these effects. There's so much going on. You know, for a lot of people, they'll like that, but for me, it's like, it's just a little bit too much. Just a little bit too much. It just needs to be dialed down just a little bit. Right, the number span's insane, isn't he? This is Azur Promilia, Kathy. Is that the new Woowa character? See, like, look at that, bro. Like, man, if you got epilepsy, you're fucked. It's like, I think even when you break the enemies, I don't know if it needs to have that breaking, shattering effect on the screen. Right? I get it. It's stylized, but it's just... We're catching it now. So now we're doing Pokemon. Right? Do you reckon Nintendo will come after him for that? I know they're cards, right? And I know specifically in the patent that it's the ball, right? So I suppose they can't really, can they? Because it's specifically the action of throwing a ball to object, what is it? Throwing object A to item B and capturing item B in object A, or however it was specifically written, right? So maybe because it's a card, it won't be this, but like, you know, I know Nintendo, I'm skimming through this gameplay now, like, fucking hell, what's this then? You know what I mean? They're on it. They're on it. I always think of the Tall Ball Crash out when I see this kind of visual splooge, right? That's a good word, visual splooge. It is like visual diarrhea, isn't it? Just like it's puked out onto the screen. Again, like, you know, you look at the animations, the game looks like it runs good. Visually, it's good. Again, now, I would still like them to tone down the visuals. As I say, you know, if Genshin had never existed and Wuthering Waves never existed and all of the others that seem similar in combat weren't coming out, I'd look at this and go, alright, I'm down. This looks kind of fun, actually. But I just feel like I've played it before. It just feels like it's kind of like, you know, it's not quite Genshin, it's not quite Wuthering Waves, but it's trying to like just, I'm just gonna sit in the middle here. Let me just slide down between you guys, right? You know, we're all the same, right? We're all friends. This fight's going on for ages, isn't it? Yeah, it looks like we defeated it. So, yeah, man. Yeah. Azur Promilia is the bee's knees. The game is hecka polished, panty shots everywhere, smooth animations. Basically, open world creature collector people thought HNA would have been. They have some kind of tower defense PV NPC Pokemon card game thing. I'll throw up another video. That's the like the TFT kind of mode, isn't it? That's in it, which does actually look kind of cool. Actually, I think that mode that they've got looks better than what Honkai Nexus Anima Nexus is doing. It actually looks a better version, right? Which I think that game probably would have benefited from looking like this mode that's in Azur Promilia. Which I do think that bit looks kind of good because it's PvP as well, I think, isn't it? That bit looks actually kind of fun. Yeah, the game just looks very, very, very generic, right? Very generic. Panty shots everywhere is a real reason Promilia was hyped. It's only the demo, but we already see the HP inflation, right? When it was first announced, it was looking interesting. They just took way too much time to cook, I guess, start looking generic. Yeah, I agree. Like, don't get me wrong. I think Azur Promilia is going to be actually a very successful game. I do. I think it's weird, right? Enfield, I think, is going to be successful, but there's the arguments with the base building that it's going to be a bit more niche and stuff, right? Let's put that to the side. Enanta's not a gacha game anymore, right? DNA is not a gacha game anymore. When I look at the games that are upcoming, the big polished looking games, I do genuinely think Azur Promilia looks like the type of game that'll probably be really successful. I'm quite confident that it's going to make millions, right? Every single month. But personally for me, it just looks super generic now. Like when I first saw it, I was like, all right, okay, it looks all right. But in my head, I was like, it just looks, not that it looks like Wuthering Waves and Genshin, although it kind of does. But like, you know, the fantasy, the green rolling fields and the characters, I was just like, it looks okay. But the reason I'm looking forward to Enfield, among a myriad of other reasons, is I like the sci-fi setting a little bit more. It's appealing to me a little bit more. We're not going into that fantasy kind of realm. But then the more I see of the game, I'm just like, okay, it's not just visually generic now, you know? it's just looking pretty generic right across the board, which I think is a big worry for me personally. Again, sometimes generic sells really well, doesn't it? You know what I mean? Generic sells really well sometimes.